Chapter 415, Fight Against with the Master. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. With the intensity of Zhang Yuoquan's spiritual power, he could completely perceive things that had happened 50 kilometers away. However, when he perceived the rock martial classics, he unconsciously entered into the deep state of practice and immersed himself in the subtlety of martial arts, evolving the martial arts with the martial soul. It was for this reason that he did not realize what was happening until Huang Yanjun ran past him. His spiritual power withdrew from the rock martial classics. No wonder this book is a rare book of King's Stage. The first level of it is already so extensive and profound. Zhang Yuoquan breathed out deeply. He felt that his martial arts had made substantial progress. At that moment, Zhang Yuoquan felt a pair of sharp eyes staring at him. Turning towards the eyes, he landed his eyes on Huang Yanjun and made eye contact with her. Zhang Yuoquan immediately revealed an apologetic smile. Huang Yanjun hummed coldly. She said, "Zhang Yuoquan, are you deliberately standing by and wanting to get me killed by an indigent superior so that you can reasonably break our engagement?" Zhang Yuoquan was nearby, and with his cultivation, he must have already known that the master of Evil Wood Palace was chasing after her. However, Zhang Yuoquan did not immediately go and save her, which naturally made Huang Yanjun very angry. Zhang Yuoquan sighed but did not give any explanation. Instead, he looked at the group of indigenous people who were in the distance and dressed in blue master robes. More and more of the indigents appeared. There were only a dozen of them at the beginning, but soon there were more than 100 of them. They rode on 13 chariots driven by savage beasts and held the battle flags in their hands. They stood about 33 meters away but did not immediately launch an attack. Obviously, Monster Ape's power frightened them, so they did not dare to act rashly. Originally, Huang Yanjun was also worried that Zhang Yuoquan was not the opponent of the group of masters in Evil Wood Palace. However, when she saw that Zhang Yuoquan actually defeated the Monster Ape, she was less worried. Zhang Yuoquan's present strength was indeed unfathomable. "Master, that's the Monster Ape in the Blackwater Chill Pool. How did it get out of the demonic ape ridge?" the old man said in surprise. The Blackwater Monster Ape also had a fierce reputation in the entire Five Elements continent. "Shut up. Don't you see that the Monster Ape have already been tamed?" the eldest brother said solemnly. "Someone actually tamed the Monster Ape? Just how powerful could that person be?" The eighth brother's body trembled. His legs could not even stand upright. Master King Mu squinted his eyes and stared at the young man sitting on the Monster Ape's right shoulder. He said in a hoarse voice, "My friend, I am Master King Mu of Evil Wood Palace, and I'm arresting this woman. Please do not to intervene." In order to avoid a vicious battle, Master King Mu wanted to use the name of Evil Wood Palace to suppress him. When Master King Mu declared the name of the Evil Wood Palace, even the masters who were standing behind him slightly straightened their backs, with pride on their faces. Being the disciples of the Holy Land of Five Masters was an amazing thing. Zhang Yuoquan put away the jade book and stood up. He said with a smile, "You want me to not step into this matter? Don't you know that the person you want to kill is my senior sister apprentice?" Huang Yanjun rolled her eyes. She apparently was dissatisfied with Zhang Yuoquan's words. "Senior sister apprentice? What happened to fiancé?" Master King Mu showed a cold look. The supernatural power slowly spread from his body. He said, "You are also an extraterritorial evil spirit. In this case, I have nothing to say. Today, I will eliminate you, the both of you." Bam! Master King Mu lifted up the crystal wand and slammed the ground with it. Suddenly, vines that were as thick as bowl mouth grew on the ground. At first, they were only 1 meter long, but soon they grew to 10 meters, 20 meters. Numerous vines, like whips and chains, flew toward Huang Yanjun, Zhang Yuoquan, and the Monster Ape at the same time. Huang Yanjun immediately held the holy sword across in front of herself, making a defensive posture. But Zhang Yuoquan was very calm, and did not want to do anything. The Monster Ape roared loudly and kicked its feet on the ground. He then attacked toward Master King Mu. Master King Mu swung the crystal wand, and the wand separated into 36 vines wrapping around the body of the Monster Ape. They were like meandering blue tentacles and tightly wrapped up the Monster Ape. "Oh woo!" Monster Ape emitted icing cold air from his body, spreading out in all directions. There was frozen sound of tittering on the ground. In a very short time, an area within 1.5 kilometers were covered with a thick layer of ice. Most of the masters of the Evil Wood Palace were frozen, and even their blood and heart were frozen. They were dead for sure. Only 17 of them survived because they had profound supernatural power, but they were shivering in the cold. Bam! The large vine ball that enveloped the monster ape was torn apart by a huge power and broke into short wooden vines before flying out violently. The monster ape rushed out and punched on Master King Mu's head with his fist. Master King Mu's pupils were enlarged and he immediately held the crystal wand in front of him, forming a blue protective shield 5 meters in front of him. Bam! The blue barrier was crushed into pieces by the monster ape with a single punch. Master King Mu flew backwards and his old face turned pale. Set up the combined attacking array, now. Master King Mu ordered, and 16 masters of Evil Wood Palace immediately charged forward, moved their feet, and formed a circle around Master King Mu in 16 directions. Bam! At the same time, 16 people inserted the crystal wand into the ground. Under the urging of supernatural power, the wand's crystal wands were transformed into 16 array columns, out of which a blue light column surged. The 16 light columns gathered toward Master King Mu, who was standing in the middle. Master King Mu's aura kept increasing. Under the impact of a powerful force, the ground under his feet was shattered, forming streaks of strange lines. Zhang Yuochen narrowed his eyes. He said to Huang Yanchen, "Let me borrow your holy sword." Zhang Yuochen's 2 fingers shook gently. The white holy sword in Huang Yanchen's hands flew out toward Zhang Yuochen. Swoosh! Zhang Yuochen released his martial soul. Suddenly, the heaven and earth spiritual chi turned into a huge vortex and gathered toward the holy sword. In particular, the spiritual chi of water nature surged the fastest and continued to inject into the holy sword. A saint power gushed out of the sword. Zhang Yuochen held the holy sword with his hands. The power it gave was much more powerful than when Huang Yanshen had held it. Break. Zhang Yuochen controlled the holy sword and dashed out. His sword hit the boundary of the combined attacking array set up by Master King Mu and the 16 masters. The combined attacking array, which had not fully formed, was immediately disintegrated. Swoosh! Stokes of sword chi flew out from the tip of the holy sword and pierced through 7 masters' body. They flew backward and fell into a pool of blood. The other 9 masters were more or less wounded by the sword chi and fled in different directions. They were all in the heaven realm and were powerful, so they ran very fast. In the blink of an eye, they had already fled hundreds of meters away. "You want to escape?" Huang Yanshen immediately chased down one of them. She caught up the man in a single breath and struck him down with her palm. Snap! Her palms hit the man's head and broke his skull into pieces. Afterwards, she went on to kill another person. Only after she had got right behind him, a blade of sword radiance flew past her and penetrated the man's back. With a tittering sound, the man fell forward to the ground, revealing a bowl-mouth-sized blood hole in his back. Bam! The holy sword circled in the air before it flew back to Zhang Yuochen's hand. Just now, Zhang Yuochen stood where he was and used the sword defending technique. He had killed 8 people in a row and accumulated more than 100 military merits. Moreover, because he used the martial soul to control the heaven and earth spiritual chi for his own use, so even if he used the holy sword, it only consumed 30% of his real vital essence. This sword is surely deserving of its name. The power it gives out is so powerful. Zhang Yuochen gently touched the jade-like blade with his finger. He swung the sword, and the holy sword immediately sent out a joyful tweeting sound. After reaching the heart integrated into sword, Zhang Yuochen could have affinity with any sword in the world. He could even communicate with them and become their best friend. What a profound realm of sword technique. If only I can also reach the heart integrated into sword. Huang Yanshen had refined the sword heart pill, but she was still far from reaching the realm of heart integrated into sword. Staring at Zhang Yuochen, who was holding the holy sword, Huang Yanshen actually felt a tugging deep in her heart. Zhang Yuochen was a lot more talented than her, and she was not able to catch up to him in any way. In the other direction, the monster ape and Master King Mu were still fighting 50 kilometers away, sending out tremendous shockwaves in all directions. Obviously, the power of the monster ape was much stronger than that of Master King Mu, and it forced Master King Mu to retreat again and again. The young man's power is too strong. Just with one sword attack, He already broke the combined attacking array. If he and the monster ape team up, I will be dead for sure. Master King Mu thought so in his mind. Although Master King Mu was not an opponent of the monster ape, as a king of masters, he had some trump cards in his hands, and it was not difficult for him to escape. But now, he was not only facing the monster ape. Zhang Yuochen, standing not far away, was fiercely staring at him. It was almost impossible for him to escape. It seems that I can only ask for help from the Evil Wood Palace. Master King Mu fell backward quickly and took out a purple scroll. He then hit it toward the sky. Under the urging of supernatural power, the purple scroll was opened. A light column rushed out of the gathered spiritual chi of wood nature with a swooshing sound. It pierced through the cloud as if it could reach the ninth heaven. Zhang Yuochen stared at the purple scroll and felt the most primitive and pure power of wood nature. Was the scroll made of purple cloud-patterned eaglewood, one of the 5 spirit treasures? When Zhang Yuochen was ready to seize it, with a banging sound, the purple scroll exploded and turned into a purple mist that dissipated in the air. The light column connected the ground and the sky. It could be seen clearly even if one stood 500 kilometers away.